Hello, hello. This is Chris Park, and today we're going to be doing some painting on the second arc for the game. This is the first arc that is commissioned by one of the backers on Kickstarter, and this one is basically the arc that is used um, by the. I'm not going to say this right. The uh, Kitikian, whatever, the whales and dolphins as they left um, Earth and the Solar System and so forth. And so this has a very whale-like set of inspiration, as you can see. This first video, I'm actually going to do 2, maybe 3 videos on this today just to split these up. This first one's going to be a little more boring because what I'm going to be doing is showing the prep work before I actually get into painting. I figured I'd split that out. But if you're into 3D art or just curious how that works, then stick around for this one. If not, speed ahead. All right, so final game mesh is here in Unity. This is my prep project here. Arcs, we've got arc 1. Oops, I put the spire stuff under this. Darn it. Wait, what the heck did I do? Oh, okay, I see. It's just got a folder called spire for some reason. All right. So we've got the Rorqual Hegira. Yeah. It's a cool name. I'm not the best with. I took 5 years of Latin. You'd think I know how to say um, at least the Sitikian thingy, whales and dolphins. But yeah. Okay, so what we're gonna do first is take a look at this model in Unity, see what we got, see what we need to combine, if anything. This is an arc, so there's a pretty good chance we're not going to need to combine anything. I do want to get the scale proper if it's not. All right, so here's the first arc, which I refer to as arc 1 now. Very creative. So the Rorqual Hegira should be basically the same general size as that, but not it's long, not tall. But this cube right here is our kind of measuring point. So as often happens when bringing stuff in from Maya, it comes in 100 times too small. File scale 0.01. It's just difference in working scale. So just change the scale factor on the model from 1 to 100 and boom, it's in. However, that's still, for one thing, it's backwards. And for another, it's not um, not really the scale that I would prefer. So let's 200, maybe even 3. Yep, 3. Okay. Nope, needs to be bigger than that. Say 5. See how that goes. Okay. This is the AI's home stuff. Our arc here. Don't want the footprint of this to be so big that it's problematic, but all right. And the next question comes, this is the angle that I want this to be at, because I want this to have a distinctive top. And I don't think this is how I would like to do it. I think, well, this feels a little more dynamic this way. These feel like they belong together, you know? They feel like they exist in the same space and are peers, which is the idea. Um, just checking it out from all the various angles there. I mean, it's much, much thinner, but it's so much longer, which, I mean, is the idea. I I almost think this should be a little bit bigger. It's going to make the collision box awfully big, but compared to some of the Spire stuff, it's not horrible. If I tilted this up more, then I could make it bigger without the collision box being as large. Because we have to draw a circle around this, and that's the collision box. But you know what? I've allocated this as being what this is allowed to be. So I tell you what, we're just going to make this a little bit bigger. Let's try 600. This just feels like the little brother of the other arc at the moment. It just feels too small. That feels better. That feels a lot better. I wonder if I rotate this thing, it's going to feel like. Probably pretty stupid. Yeah. It's like it's constantly breaching or something. Yeah. No thanks. Well, what about if it's constant? Oh, not that. What if it's constantly diving? Um, that just feels strange. All right, it is what it is. Um, that right alone, that's going to make an interesting difference in gameplay. Because it's going to be harder for ships to cluster in around it. We may be able to make a smaller collision box and just have this raised up or something. There's a variety of things we could, in theory, do. I don't remember if Keith got a system where we can have multiple circles that define it instead of having one singular circle. Because if we did that, then it would. Well, actually, that would work fine until the thing rotated. And the rotation's not supposed to matter for gameplay purposes, so never mind. Yeah, the things that we have to simplify in order to make the game, playable uh, with this scale of number of ships. So these textures. Oh shoot, wrong thing. These textures go into the materials folder here. What do we have? We have the body and we have the tanks. Sounds good to me. So for the body, we've got body emission, normal texture. So it's fine. So albedo, normal map, and then we want emission, and here that is, and just set that to be slightly HDR at the moment. I don't really care too deeply about the exactness of that right now. Just kind of getting an idea. All right. And so for the tanks, I'm glad that these are separate. And obviously Blue did that on purpose because I want to have the materials be pretty different between the two. So I think I'm doing the normal map. I'm not sure if I did the normal map or what I did. Normal map. Yep. Good. And then, yeah. All right. These are very emissive. Which makes sense. These are like, basically like fish tanks. They're kind of glowing from within a little bit. Not that much. The lens bloom is still nuts in general. Please ignore. The normal maps are a little on the harsh side on the body. Normally I would tone that down some, but I don't care in this particular incarnation because I'm going to be just pulling that into Substance Painter, and I will do any sort of toning down that needs to happen in there, and it'll look pretty different when we start coming back over to here. So now let's take a look at this mesh. See, whoa, my God. All right. This is one of the really nice things that Blue does, is she gives it to us in all the constituent pieces, which is hugely useful if we're feeling like we want to make something rotate or do, whatever else along those lines. What do we got here? Yeah, that's doesn't have any interior parts, so can't make this rotate if I wanted to. Could do UV animation, but it wouldn't work very well. I mean, she modeled this efficiently, so well, that's cool. That has actual underside to it. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna merge these things because I want these pieces to all be one. So let's go to Udi's mesh merge here. And what I need to do is actually select, oh Lord, there's a lot of portholes. Select all of that and say splice and merge. There's 50 objects, 18,000 vertices. That's not bad. All right. So we have two merged meshes now because there's two different materials on them. Units, create a new one. Oh, you know what I should have done? Create it right here because that will position it properly. Which one was it though? Not okay. All right. So now we have our two merged meshes here. Tanks and body. Before I do anything else fancy with this, what I'm going to do is go ahead and use the Unity FBX exporter by Unlocked Software and the selected objects as a single FBX. FBX is our format of choice for a variety of reasons. It's the main one that Unity uses, and it's one of the more common ones used in general in 3D modeling for cross, combined. It's one of the more common ones for purposes of cross-software compatibility. Unreal uses it as well, and so on. So now it's going through an import process where it's pulling it back in. Okay. So now we've got the new one here, and I will put that in here, and I'm gonna copy this location of the first one, paste it in, facing the wrong way again. Oh, right. It's because I corrected the I baked in the orientation of it, the rotation. So the only thing that wasn't baked in was the position, but I baked in the scale and the orientation there. So you'll notice that it's using some different textures, different materials that are, um, not correct. But when I put that back in properly, you can see that these two things are identical. Um, so hooray. Um, I'm going to ignore that because I'm going to delete that. We have these textures which came out of the FBX file that just exported. I'm going to delete Blue's original one. I've still got a copy of that. So does she, and so forth, but we don't need it for these purposes. Deleting these things. These are the actual materials and textures that we're using for now. Now, at this point, we have what we call level of details, or LOD, 1, 2, and 3, and or sorry, 0, 1, 2, and potentially 3. And the closer you are to something, the lower the LOD number. So LOD 0 is full detail, and LOD some higher number is the lesser and lesser detail. As it takes up smaller space on your screen, you can have many fewer polygons and things munged up, and you can't tell the difference visually. And however, it will actually, render more efficiently at that distance when you're looking at an overview of a bunch of stuff. Most games use this sort of thing. No real surprises there. The question that I face now is this thing, as it is currently existing, efficient enough for an LOD 0? And the answer I come back with is close. I think I want to change it a little. It's not horrible. But bear in mind, Blue is modeling in Maya somewhat for efficiency, but she's also modeling for extra detail. This is a normal part of the process for every game ever, basically. Unless it's like super low poly on purpose, is you model in a higher resolution than you're gonna wind up exporting it at. So let's see if we can reduce the number of polygons on this a little bit without wrecking how it looks. The other thing to bear in mind is that once I do the painting in Substance Painter, anything that I mess up is really not going to be noticeable anymore. So this is Mesh Simplify by a company whose name I cannot remember. They make a thing called Automatic LOD and Mesh Simplify on the Unity Asset Store. I apologize for not remembering their name. Their stuff is really good. All right, so right now we just calculated, what's going on. A lot of times there's some really slight shifts with just some like coplanar faces and things of that nature that I can remove. And so that's what I've done with the going down to 99.6. Let's try going down to 60 and see what happens. This takes considerably longer. That really didn't change much visually, but now we're down to 10,000 vertices instead of 18. I can flip back and forth, seeing what it did change. I can see that it changed some of the shaping there. This is what it did look like, and this is what we have now. And that actually violated some of the texture. That's, I don't like that. All right, so whoopsies. Did a revert, but it's now looking for materials that it doesn't have because it was importing with the wrong materials. So I'm going to use a different tool. This one is an external tool. It's called 3D Browser by Moo Tools. This is really just for looking at stuff. But they have a plugin that they sell called Polygon Cruncher, which goes inside it. So let me get this actually fitting in the window here. Ugh. All right. So we have this thing. Now we need to actually open this in Polygon Cruncher, because I didn't do that yet. Okay. So now we're seeing some heat maps here showing where there are edges that we really don't want to violate and where there are edges that we might not want to violate. Now, a lot of times when I'm working in this, I don't care about the UV texture boundaries because I'm going to be overpainting it anyway, and so it can munge it up all at once. But in this case, I don't want it to munge it up. I want it to keep what blue did. So need to keep the UV textures, preserve UVs, and I can say what tolerance I want. The normals are basically how smooth things are and when there's a sharp divide, and what angle threshold am I allowing this to um, um, basically treat as being the same angle. And so right now I'm saying 10 degrees, which is the default. Sometimes I go to 30 if I'm doing something that's just ridiculously high poly. This is already what I would consider kind of a mid poly mesh. So the things that are red are really not going to change much at all with this. And the things that are yellow are going to try not to change. The things that are gray are where it's going to start doing its stuff the most. Now, nothing really seemed to change, which is what you want to see. You will notice there was something that was sticking up here, and that gets flattened out as we go lower. If you go crazy low, it gets really bad. But there's a magic threshold. I'm feeling pretty good about this. All right. So we will apply it, and then here we've got it again here. So we basically cut the number of faces in half from 30,000 to 16. You may notice that all of these programs are saying different things for the number of vertices, the number of points, the number of faces, the number of triangles. Vertices, points, triangles, and faces are all different things. They mean something a little bit different. Faces and triangles are pretty similar, but they have a little bit nuanced difference. Points and vertices are kind of pretty much the same thing, but not really. And so hence the differences. So I'm going to save this as an FBX. And I'm going to call this Royal Hegira Simplified, or not Royal, Rorqual. This is going to be our LED 0. So keep faces, blah, 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 keep patches. Yep, all right, happy with that. All right, go back to Unity. It's going to wait for a minute while it imports stuff. Now, what I should be able to do is take these pieces and just drag these meshes over and see them not look too different. So let's take the tanks in. Whoa, that's messed up. All right. So what's the problem? Where are our tanks? They're small. That's what it is. All right. We're back to that, are we? All right. So let's see if it's a 100 offset thing or if it's actually more than that. So tanks, drag that in. Yep, it's just off by 100. So now you can see the old tanks. I think, yep. Old tanks, new tanks, old tanks, new tanks. Wow, not much difference. When I click this here, we have 13K tries versus here we had 28K tries. So that's a big difference for no visual effect. And again, for anybody who programs, all heard about the evils of premature optimization. This is one of those cases where this is the correct time to be doing this. Blue should not have done that earlier. She did the right thing, just to be clear. So now body, I don't see any difference, which is good. Even in that little spot here, I'm hitting Control Z and Control Y. Even that little spot there that showed a difference in the Polygon Cruncher, not a thing here. I really love Polygon Cruncher, I have to say. I think it is the best. It has plugins for Maya and for 3ds Max, and now I'm just sitting here plugging that. Okay. So, call that simplified. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and export this again using the FBX exporter, which I already have open. The reason is I want to have the scale baked in. And I don't think it really matters. But can never be too careful, sort of thing. Okay. That has been exported. Once again, I don't care about the textures. And we have some excess materials that I don't care about. And at this point, let's see. I called it LED 0. So drag this in. Yes, it's all pink because I deleted the materials. Now get this to move over here. So now our pinky should be right where that is. Yep, good. All right. And so actually just drag body and the tanks on, and now it's happening. And the prefab that I created the other one, I'll get rid of. And I should be able to verify the body and everything is coming where I wanted it to. Yep, 3,000, 1,300, 13,000. Alrighty, we're good to go. This is our new LED 0. This is the prefab, simplified FBX. All right, so I can delete these two. And let's get to painting. Video 2 coming up.